Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with China-based spiritual guide, astrologer, and meditation master, Timothy Doyle. He is a spiritual teacher and guide who shares the channeled teachings of the Golden Ones based on universal laws and principles of harmony, balance, order, and unity for the greater good. The Golden Ones have channeled their teaching on the purpose of life for each soul born to Earth. Earth is a spiritual training school, and the Golden Ones' teachings will assist the soul in the comprehension of their path and ascension to their next level of soul development. It's a fascinating interview. Enjoy.
Joe, how are you?
Hey, I'm wonderful. How are you today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you for taking a minute out for the show. I appreciate it.
No, my pleasure to chat with you, Joe.
This might be my first interview in China. Where are you located exactly?
Fushan, China. It's a little bit northeast of Beijing.
Okay. Is it beautiful there?
Yes, China is a beautiful country.
I imagine so. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Well, thank you for taking some time out today, and I want to kind of begin with COVID. And I know things are different in different parts of the world, but for the most part, especially here in America, things seem to be opening up. Things are getting back to what we were used to prior to 2020. Let me ask you, how have you survived COVID? And more importantly, what's going on right now on that front?
Well, Joe, to have perfect health in your body and to avoid all diseases, you have to keep your body has a ratio of acid to alkaline. And if you keep the alkalinity in your body up, no diseases can live in the body. So I drink baking soda and lemon juice every other day to keep my alkalinity up. And as for everybody else, China is very strict on their COVID precautions. We do testing. Sometimes if they find someone in the community that has tested positive for coronavirus, they will shut down that community. Even if it's one person and there's a million people involved, they'll shut down the whole community, quarantine it, and put in restrictions where you are limited to where you can go and the businesses and so forth. So they're very strict and they take it very seriously about anything that looks like the coronavirus is going to reappear.
So talk to me about, how is it to live like that? I know now that things are different here in America, but what is it like? Is there a fatigue? Is it just a part of life now? What is that daily routine for you?
Well, the daily routine is that everything in China is the people are very loving, hardworking. The police and the government do not get involved in the daily life of the people here in China. You're free to do whatever you want to do. The traffic is crazy. You can drive as crazy as you want to drive. Our routine, they have an open market where the food comes in. And if you want to go to the market and walk through the market, which is probably about a half a mile long, of fresh fruits, vegetables, seafood, meats, and so forth. It's all available. They have beautiful parks. You can go walking in the beautiful parks. They put in exercise equipment for the elderly to work out in the parks, and they station that periodically, maybe every half mile, to support the local communities and so forth. So you're pretty much free to do whatever you want to do here in China. The only thing is when this coronavirus is alert, or if there's I won't say a shutdown. We only had a shutdown for about a week, first time in 2 years. But the trains may stop. Or if you come in from outside of this area and you test for it, they'll put you in quarantine for 10 days to make sure that you don't bring anything in from another country or another territory.
So let's get into your history and what you do. And I'm going to ask, the first question is, how did you end up in China and how long have you been there?
I work with spiritual teachers. They appeared to me, the first one appeared to me in 1983 during meditation, a golden light being. I could see him as clear as if I was watching TV. My mind just opened up and he appeared to me. It was in 83. And then they joined me, a group of them had joined me in October of 2012. And they started channeling, waking me up at 2:30 in the morning and telling me whatever I hear in my mind, just to write it. And I started writing, and I created a couple of books for them based on their teachings. And then in started in April of 2014, they told me to move to China. So I sold everything I had. I had a home, 2 homes, sold the homes, sold my material things, packed up 2 suitcases, and I moved to China. And Joe, it may sound funny, but I've had, through the years, whatever they tell me to do, I do. I'm very trusting. They put me in situations where I learn to trust and believe and take one step at a time. And it all works out. I have some beautiful experiences in life, learning experiences. Everything that they teach me, I have to experience to authenticate what they're telling me is the truth. May of 2014, and I've been here for 8 years.
What kind of culture shock, what kind of adjustment did you go through?
Well, when I first got here and I sold everything, I think I had about $600 in cash and a credit card. And when I got here, my cash and credit card was no good. I came late at the airport in Shenyang at 8:30 at nighttime, and everything was closed except the taxi cabs outside. There was a lady at the rental office, car rental office, or bus office it was, that she was very loving. She helped me. She understood my situation. She tried to help me. She pointed me to a taxi cab because I was still 40 miles from my destination. And it was just, the culture shock was just everything is free here, basically free. A lot of people do whatever they want to do. There's all types of people. The parents, the number one thing for the people for the parents in China is educating their children. And they start educating their children at a very early age with the arts. Piano, dancing, music, martial arts, speaking English, taking a language, and so forth. Education is extremely important for the parents. And basically, both parents will work, and the grandparents, family is very important here, and the grandparents will normally raise the children. And the grandparents usually live with the parents so that they can take care of the children while both parents work. So it's not that's just a different concept. It wasn't exactly a culture shock as much as just accepting their way of life here. The food is great. Most of the people here are very health oriented. They have a Chinese culture of 5,000 years, and they abide by their Chinese culture.
Talk to me a little bit about your life. Go back to your childhood. What kind of gave you these seeds for helping people and exploring? How did all that begin for you?
I was raised Catholic, and my father was a Catholic, and so I was very spiritual. I won't say spiritual. I was very Christian, good Catholic growing up. And then I attempted to join the seminary when going into high school. And when I did that, I found that the priests there were not very loving or caring and so forth. My expectation is what I expected from priests in a high school did not materialize. And so after 1 year I left the seminary and I went on to public high school. And then I got married and I started to meditate. And I started having experiences in my meditations. And then that was probably, I was about 20 at that point in time. During my growing up, my parents couldn't afford college. And in those days, you had to go into the military service. So I joined the military when I was 17. And I was in the military for 2 years, and I developed a condition in my eye, and I got an early out, a medical discharge. And I went on to school and got an AA degree in accounting. And then I got married when I was 18. Had my first son when I was 21. And I started to meditate at that point in time, Joe. And when I started to meditate, I taught myself, I always teach myself to do something. I don't follow anybody else. And when I was teaching myself to meditate, I started having these experiences. I don't know if you know anything about chakras or anything, but they're energy centers in the body. And I started to have opening up my chakras. And then at one point I had what is known as a Kundalini experience. And with that experience, I had an out-of-body experience. So I left my body temporarily and came back. And then I started, I was just drawn to developing my spiritual background. I became a metaphysical minister, a Reiki master, Kundalini yoga, certified Kundalini yoga instructor. I went and drank the ayahuasca in Peru. I've had many spiritual beings visit me. I had an encounter with a UFO. I've just been had many experiences, Joe, to just to assist people in this world. Earth is a spiritual training school. And the experiences I've had and were taught indicate how to assist people in overcoming some of their challenges in this life. How to use the conscious mind, how to use the subconscious mind, how that everyone is connected to universal mind. It's almost like we're being monitored in every moment by universal mind. Our purpose here is to become, it's a spiritual training school. We're here out of our love for God and to become co-creator gods. With all the billions of galaxies and trillions of stars, they need co-creator gods to assist in the oneness of creation. And this is a training school.
That's fascinating. You know, for somebody that's so keyed into the spiritual world, you know, and for most of us that don't see and experience that, how much is going on around us that we're not aware of? Is there just constant activity around us?
Well, the thing is, Joe, this is a spiritual training school, and Archangel Lucifer is part of this training school. And his role is to tempt the soul so that the soul overcomes the temptations and grows into being spiritual. So there's always this temptation of the central senses here that the soul has to overcome. So the video games, the pornography, the drugs, the alcohol, they're all part of this training school that the soul has to learn to overcome. And there's different levels of training here. And I basically have been told there's 3 levels of training. The first level is the ego training, when the soul first comes here and they have no awareness of their achievements in their prior lives. To come here, you have to be the elite of your solar system, of your star nation to come here. And you have to qualify to come here. But once you come here, you forget everything you've accomplished in your previous life. And so when the soul comes here, they're in a situations where they're thinking about themselves, survival. So they abuse other people. They want they want to fulfill their sensual needs, the power, the greed, money, taking advantage of other people, raping people, robbing people, killing people. That's all part of the training package here. And all souls have to overcome that. And as you can probably know right now, that most of the people we call it the third dimension reality. And most of the people in charge right now on this planet are in that reality where it appears they're corrupt and greedy and power hungry and so forth. But it's just a facade that each carnation you're in, you're there to learn a role, not to learn the role, not to play a role, but to learn the wisdom from that role. And that's why we don't remember our previous carnations, because we only remember what we've learned, not to kill, not to steal, to be loving to other people, have positive thoughts. Those are the learning lessons for each carnation. And so all the temptations in this world is all around us. It's just how each soul, each individual approaches it and how they work to discipline their own being for evolving in their spiritual path. Now, fear, Lucifer and the people in charge know that fear will hold down. The conscious mind can only have one thought at a time. You can't be thinking about building a business and then having the fear of war, Ukrainian-Russian war on your mind. You either think of one thing, building a business, or you're thinking about the war. So fears are created in this training school by those in charge to keep the people that are spiritually evolving to control the people. That's it. There's many things that are available free if the soul is aware of what it is and so forth. For example, your body. There's no need for the coronavirus, for cancer, for diseases, for cold, if you keep your body in an alkaline state. And there was a Nobel Peace Prize winner in 1931 that found out that he got a Peace Prize for it, that cancer will only survive in an acid environment. If the body is alkaline, no diseases can survive in an alkaline environment, just like a swimming pool. So if we keep our body healthy and we remove the fears from our lives, fear is a very easy thing to remove if you know how to remove the fear. It's like removing a snapshot, a bad picture off your camera. It takes only about a couple of seconds to remove a fear from your light body, from your subconscious mind. But when the soul is in fear, it doesn't vibrate. The spine is an antenna for the body, and the soul has desires and dreams, and when they're happy and healthy and loving, their dreams come true. And that's only because they vibrate that to the universe of who they are and what it is they desire. But if they're in fear, then the body doesn't vibrate as vibrant as someone who is not in fear. So it's up to each soul to learn and to discipline their thoughts, their words, their deeds, live a loving life, and remove the fears out of their body and stay healthy. That's the beginning part.
Yeah. What consistently gives you hope for humanity? You know, every day you wake up and you face, this world, and with all of the wisdom that you've gained, What consistently gives you hope?
Well, what I do, Joe, is I say a prayer every day of seeing the Mother Earth surrounded in light. What people don't realize is we have guardian angels and we have spiritual teachers, and this is a free will universe. This training school is free will, so the soul can experience whatever they want to experience without karma. You create karma when you abuse another form of life, whether it's an animal or a person. That's where karma comes in. But as long as you're experiencing to learn wisdom, you can do whatever you want to do. So, but your spiritual teachers cannot help you, angels and spiritual teachers, unless you ask for help. And so if souls learn to call on their guardian angels when they're in a challenging situation and call on their spiritual teachers, how do I do this? How can you help me overcome this challenge and so forth, and ask for assistance and make that connection with their guardian angels and spiritual teachers, and how it will come, how they speak to you, Joe. They speak to you and your mind is a thought. And so when you think that, thoughts are just random. No, thoughts are not random. Thoughts are generated. You create your thoughts by asking questions to your teachers and the angels to assist you, and the guidance will come. Just all you have to do is ask and listen. Ask and listen. Discipline your thinking. Don't be thinking about video games, how I can achieve a higher score. Football and soccer and tennis and all these matches, they're all distractions. Everyone goes through this and they get wrapped up in, this and this, and then Monday morning they come around and they're back to the grind of working and their fears. The distractions of the football game takes their mind off of their challenges in their life and so forth. So what I do is I just say a prayer to the Mother Earth, asking for guidance for those that are here, and that the loving energy will come, and eventually the corruption will be dispelled. And I just hang in there, and that's how I do it, Joe.
This is the first time, I'm 50 years old, I've never ever heard that Earth is kind of a spiritual training ground. I find it very interesting, and I'm wondering how this idea can get out so people understand and can grasp it. So my question to you is, what do you do with the clients that you have, the people that you work with? What's your ultimate goal?
Well, I don't have a goal, Joe. What I do is the teachings I get my teachers talk to me. They taught me a method back in 1983 when I was studying to be a metaphysical minister. They taught me how to attune to the God frequency in the mind. There's a frequency in the mind. You can think about colors. You can think about food. You can think about televisions, animals. There's thousands of subjects that you can draw thoughts about in your mind. But there's one frequency, it's called the God frequency. And when you talk to God, you can talk to God and God will talk back to you through this frequency. And if you're watching a football game and God wants to tell you something, that is the primary thought that comes through on this God frequency. That overrides all other frequencies going on in your mind at that time. What I've learned is that I attune to this God frequency, and I just do what they want me to do. And I have a website. I put it out there. I get teachings. I've written 3 books based on their teachings, and everything on the website is free. There's teachings there to remove fears from your life. In about 15 seconds, you can remove a fear. It's called the prayer to remove emotional parasites. We talk about keeping the body healthy with the alkaline environment and how to raise the alkalinity instantly. So there's tools on the website that I do. And I put it out there. Everything's free except for the astrology charts and numerology charts. And I charge a small fee for that because I have to work and generate that. But anything that's generated by spirit, given to me freely, I put it on the website freely. And then what I do is I send it out on Linkit. And that's where my main source of distributing my information is on Linkit to different groups. And if people find it, they find it. If they don't, they don't.
To get to kind of the essence of you, everyone out there has a perception of you, your family, your friends, those that you work with, but ultimately you live your life. You're in control of who you are. Who do you think you are? What's your perception of you?
I don't think about it, Joe. Joe, I do not think about it. I don't want this. That's sort of an ego thing. So I just do. I know that I'm gifted. I don't know why my teacher chose me. I'm gifted with being in connection with them and what they taught me. They have taught. There's not a subject, Joe, you could think about that I could not talk for an hour about ghosts and what happens at death, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, universal mind, the creation process, diseases, fears. There's just all these different things that I had to experience and it wasn't an easy experience. I don't know if you know. Do you know the ayahuasca?
Very tangentially, yes.
Ayahuasca, I was in 2000, my teachers told me to take a trip and go to see a shaman. Take a trip to visit the shaman. So I got on the computer, and in about 10 minutes, I signed up for a trip to go to Peru to work with the shamans. I didn't know what I was getting into. They told me to take a trip to visit a shaman. I selected Peru. And when I got to Peru, after a trip to Peru and then another flight the next morning to Iquitos and a boat ride up the river into the middle of the jungle, and as we were getting off the boat, someone said to the shaman in charge, "Howard, when do we drink?" I go, "Drink what?" They go, "The ayahuasca." I didn't know I was drinking ayahuasca or what I was getting myself into. I just followed the guidance of going to Peru. The ayahuasca is a drink that is the most terrible. It's like drinking dirty oil. And you drink maybe about 3 ounces of it. And it puts you in 20 minutes, it puts you in a state of, I won't say hallucinations, but you basically travel in your mind to your past to clear up blockages in your spiritual development. And so I do these things. They tell me to do these things, and I do it. Not trusting that I'm going to be okay, whatever it is. So I just do these things, and once it's over with, I'm thankful that I had the experience of doing it, but going through it, it's like not very pleasant, but there's a lot of wisdom learned going through it.
Wow, that sounds intense. If anybody out there wants to find your website and your teachings and anything related to your work, where can they go? You would mention that.
The website is www.pathtoooneness.com. And let's see, they can find me on YouTube at Timothy Doyle, The Golden Ones. Those are the co-creator gods in charge of this planet, the Golden Ones. So I think we have about 200 YouTubes out there discussing different subjects. And the website has many, many teachings on it. And that is www.thepathtoooneness.com.
This has been wonderful, Tim. Thank you for opening up. I'm actually talking to you on one of my favorite days of the calendar year. My son Miles turns 18 today, so it's been wonderful to be enlightened by you on such a wonderful day in my life.
Well, Joe, I appreciate the opportunity to share the teachings of the Golden Ones and the opportunity to talk to you. Your interview was very, very educational, and I felt very comfortable with your style of interviewing.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, business, spirituality, and music from around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.